you're over 40. She's in her 22nd. At first, everything feels electric. Her energy is contagious. Her smile lights up a room. You feel alive again, like you've rewound the clock. But then something shifts. You catch yourself trying too hard, texting more than you normally would, laughing at things you don't even find funny, trying to act younger, cooler, more her vibe. And just like that, she starts to pull away. Listen closely. If you're a man over 40 dealing with dating, or even just talking to a younger woman, you need to see this video before you make a move. Here's the truth nobody tells you. The more you try to impress her the wrong way, the more you lose her. She doesn't want a guy pretending to be her age. She's drawn to the maturity, the calm, the grounded strength that only a seasoned man can bring. But if you act like a boy chasing approval, you become replaceable. Today, I'm breaking down 10 critical things you should never do with a younger woman if you're over 40. These aren't theories, they're the traps real men fall into every day. We're talking about real situations, real people, and real consequences. And if you're anywhere near this part of life, trust me, you're going to see yourself in these stories. Get ready, because number one is the exact mistake that starts the downfall. And it happens way more than you think. Let's get into it. Number one, don't try to be her age, own your experience. Let's get one thing straight. If you're over 40 and dating or even thinking about dating a younger woman, the biggest mistake you can make is trying to keep up with her world like it's still yours. You're not her age, and that's not a problem. That's your advantage. When a man tries to act 25 again just to connect with a 5-year-old, it doesn't come off as fun or attractive. It comes off as insecure. And women, especially younger ones, can smell that a mile away. Let me introduce you to Mark, 52, divorced 3 years, successful business owner in Phoenix. He recently started seeing Natalie, a 9-year-old yoga instructor. At first, Mark thought he had to keep up with her pace, late nights out, EDM clubs, TikTok lingo, avocado toast for dinner. You get the idea. But the more he tried to match her world, the more disconnected he felt from his own. Here's the kicker. Natalie wasn't drawn to Mark because he knew the latest meme or used emojis the right way. She was drawn to his grounded energy, his stability, his difference. When Mark stopped trying to impress and just owned who he was, his maturity, his discipline, his life experience, things shifted. He wasn't chasing her approval anymore. He was living in his center. And that, my friend, is magnetic. You see, younger women who are attracted to older men aren't looking for a peer, they're looking for a contrast. They want a man who's rooted, confident, and has lived through enough to not be fazed by temporary drama. That only comes from time and tested experience. It doesn't come from sneakers and slang. Now meet Terrence, 48, from Dallas. He works in finance, keeps himself in shape, but made a classic mistake with a 1-year-old woman named Alina. On their third date, he started changing how he talked, dropping slang he never used before, making Spotify playlists filled with Gen Z hits, even adjusting the way he dressed. What happened? Alina stopped responding, not because Terrence wasn't a good guy, but because she lost the polarity. He stopped being the grounded, masculine presence she was intrigued by, and started acting like someone who was unsure of himself. You don't need to become her generation. You need to embody yours. Be the man who knows how to sit in silence without filling it, who speaks with clarity, not volume, who's already fought his battles and doesn't need to prove himself to anyone anymore. The man who knows the value of time and doesn't waste it pretending to be something he's not. You bring something to the table that a younger guy simply can't. Perspective, emotional intelligence, control, and self-awareness. These are the currencies that make you stand out. And the moment you start trying to swap those for youth, you lose everything that made you valuable in the first place. So, here's the takeaway. Stop chasing her timeline. Make her rise to yours. Stay in your masculine lane and let her feel the draw of someone who isn't scrambling for relevance but standing firm in purpose. I own my age. Drop that in the comments below. If you're done pretending and ready to lead from experience, it's not about age, it's about presence. And listen closely, the next step isn't about what you say, it's about what you don't. Stay right here, because in the next part, we'll talk about the one thing that makes her lean in without you saying a single word. Number 2, don't absorb her emotions. You're not her therapist. Let's get real. One of the fastest ways to lose your edge with a younger woman is by becoming her emotional sponge. You're not her therapist. You're not her diary. You're her man, or at least, you're supposed to be. Too many guys over 40 fall into this trap, especially when dating younger women who haven't lived through as much. It starts small. She vents about her boss, her friends, or how no one understands her. And what do? You lean in too hard. You try to fix everything. You carry her mood. But here's the truth. The more you absorb, the more she drains. And the more she drains, the less attraction she feels. Let me paint a picture. James, 51, a real estate investor in Miami, had just started seeing Brooke, 30, an artist with big emotions and bigger opinions. At first, he liked that she opened up to him. He thought it meant trust. But over time, every conversation became about her feelings, her stress, her insecurities, her breakdowns. And James, he tried to be the good guy, the safe space. What happened? Brooke started pulling away. Why? Because James became too available emotionally. Not in a supportive, masculine way, but in a way that blurred lines. She stopped seeing him as a strong, grounded man and started feeling like she was venting to her therapist, or worse, her mom. Here's what men over 40 need to understand. Younger women are attracted to your stability, not your emotional flexibility. You don't need to mirror her storms, you need to be the damn mountain. There's a difference between listening and absorbing, between being present and becoming entangled. When she's spiraling, what she needs most isn't someone who gets dragged into the chaos. She needs a calm mirror, not a panicked fixer. Think about Michael, 46, a divorced father of 2 from Seattle. He was seeing Ava, 28, a software engineer going through a quarter-life crisis. One night, she started venting about how she felt behind in life. She expected Michael to swoop in and give her a pep talk, but he didn't. Instead, he looked at her and calmly said, "I hear you. Sounds like you're figuring a lot out." Then he went back to sipping his whiskey. No advice, no solution, no panic. Guess what? Ava leaned in. She opened up even more without dumping it all on him. Why? Because he didn't take the bait. He stayed grounded, unmoved. Your presence should be a container, not a sponge. You hold space, but you don't leak yourself into it. When you start soaking up her emotions like they're your responsibility, you kill the polarity. You become emotionally reactive instead of emotionally steady. And trust me, no woman feels safe or turned on by a man who's always tossed around by her moods. So how do you handle it like a man? 1. Listen without fixing. Let her talk, but don't jump in with solutions unless she asks. 2. Stay neutral. Don't ride her emotional waves. Let her know you're there, but don't let it pull you down. 3. Set boundaries. If the emotional unloading gets constant, it's okay to say, "I care about you, but I'm not the guy to unpack all this with every night." Because here's the deeper truth. When you stop over identifying with her emotional world, she respects you more. She sees you as someone who can lead, not just sit in the passenger seat of her drama. Let her have her storms. You be the sky. I protect my peace. If that resonates with you, drop it in the comments below. Show the world you're done playing emotional sponge and ready to step into your role as a grounded man. And don't go anywhere, because next we're talking about a subtle behavior that destroys masculine polarity without you even realizing you're doing it. Trust me, this is one you can't afford to miss. Number 3. Don't seek her validation, be the man who validates himself. Let's get something straight. When a man over 40 chases the validation of a younger woman, he flips the power dynamic on its head and not in his favor. Seeking her approval may feel like the right move, especially when you're trying to connect, impress, or keep her interested. But the more you look to her for affirmation, the more you quietly tell her you're not sure of yourself. And that right there is where the attraction starts to fade. Take Mike, for example. He's 49, runs a small business in Austin, and recently started dating Nicole, a 7-year-old yoga instructor. In the beginning, Mike was confident, grounded. He didn't chase her, he invited her into his world. But once things got a little more serious, something shifted. He started fishing for compliments, asking if his outfits looked good, checking if he was still interesting to her, even worrying about whether she thought his jokes were funny. Nicole didn't say anything directly. She didn't need to. Her energy changed. Her texts became inconsistent. She started showing up late or canceling plans. Mike, in his confusion, doubled down, more compliments, more effort, more questions. But none of it worked, because what he thought was attention came across as neediness. And neediness kills attraction. What Mike didn't realize is this: younger women don't need a mirror version of themselves. They don't need another person looking to be filled up with praise. They're drawn to a man who already knows his worth, a man who doesn't need their approval to function. Confidence isn't something you perform, it's something you embody. And that kind of quiet, self-assured energy doesn't ask, "Did I do it right?" It moves forward with clarity, whether or not applause follows. Now contrast Mike with James, 56, a divorced father of 2 living in Seattle. He met Alyssa, a 30-year-old interior designer, at a charity event. James didn't try to match her youth. He didn't flood her with compliments or tailor himself to her tastes. He told her what wine he liked, shared his opinion on things even when she disagreed, and didn't check her face for approval every time he spoke. And what happened? She leaned in. She laughed more. She asked more questions. Why? Because he wasn't trying to impress her, he was just being himself. And that confidence made her curious. Here's the reality. When a younger woman senses that you are unfazed by her disapproval, that you don't flinch if she doesn't laugh, that you remain grounded, even when she pulls back a little, that's when she starts to respect you. And that respect lays the groundwork for deeper attraction. Validation isn't a gift you ask for. It's something you already hold. And when you live like that, women notice. Not because you're trying to get noticed, but because certainty is magnetic. So the next time you're with a younger woman and feel the urge to win her over, stop and check yourself. Are you leading the interaction, or are you quietly waiting to be told you're good enough? A man who's sure of himself doesn't chase a reaction. He doesn't shrink to fit. He holds his space, speaks with conviction, and lets others choose whether or not they can meet him there. Don't be the man who waits to be told he matters. Be the one who already knows. I validate myself. Type it below. Say it for yourself and every man who's still learning how to stop chasing and start leading. And whatever you do, don't miss what comes next, because we're about to expose the most common mistake men make when trying to connect with younger women and why it always backfires. Number 4. Don't try to impress, lead with direction, not performance. Let's cut the noise. When a man over 45 finds himself with a younger woman, the worst thing he can do is step into performer mode. You know what I'm talking about, trying to be funny enough, cool enough, interesting enough, just to hold her attention. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The moment you start performing, you stop leading. Let me introduce you to Dennis, 52. A real estate developer in Phoenix. He met Chloe, 29, at a mutual friend's wedding. They hit it off, good energy, flirty banter, real connection. But when they started seeing each other casually, Dennis began to slip into a subtle trap. Suddenly, he was over-planning every date with bells and whistles. He'd constantly ask if she was having fun. He made jokes even when there was nothing funny to say. He talked fast, filled every silence, and told stories that felt just a little too curated. Chloe smiled, but something was off. See, Dennis thought he needed to entertain her, but what Chloe actually wanted was a man with clarity, not a clown with charm. That's where older men get it twisted. You don't win a younger woman's desire by being her personal stand-up act. You win it by giving her something real to follow your presence, your pace, your purpose. Let's flip to another story. Marcus, 48, lives in Charlotte and runs a small financial consulting firm. He started dating Julia, 31, a marketing manager who's sharp, driven, and used to being in control. On their second date, instead of asking, "So what do you want to do?" Marcus simply said, "Let's grab a drink at this lounge. I like 7:30 sharp. Wear something you feel good in. No guesswork, no over-explaining, no performing. Just direction." And Julia, she showed up early. It wasn't about the bar or the drink. It was the confidence, the decision. The man who didn't try to impress her but instead moved with intention. When you're a man with life experience, the advantage isn't in how well you entertain, it's in how clearly you lead. And let's be honest, younger women have seen enough filters, enough flexing, and enough false charm to smell it from across the room. They're not craving the guy who bends himself into a persona. They're drawn to the man who already knows who he is and makes no apology for it. Leading isn't about controlling her. It's about steering your own life with enough purpose that she wants to come along for the ride. That means you don't ask if the plan is okay, you make the plan. You don't over-explain your opinions, you state them, simply and firmly. You don't check for her reaction, you stay grounded in yours. This isn't arrogance, it's masculinity. And when you wear it right, it gives her the space to relax, soften, and feel safe in your presence. You're not a performer, you're a man with gravity. And gravity doesn't chase, it pulls. So stop rehearsing your next punchline. Stop waiting for the green light before you speak your mind. And definitely stop twisting yourself into who you think she wants you to be. Because the man who leads doesn't need to impress, he just moves forward and lets the world adjust to his direction. I lead with purpose. If that's your truth, drop it in the comments and stand in it. No more chasing, no more guessing. Just you, grounded and sure. And if you think this was powerful, trust me, what's coming next? It's the shift most men never make, and it separates the forgettable from the unforgettable. Stay with me. Number 5. Don't build fantasies. See her clearly, not romantically. Let's talk about something men over 40 rarely admit. The fantasy we create around younger women. It starts small. A few playful texts, a little attention, a shared glance across a room. And before you know it, you're no longer interacting with her, you're interacting with the idea of her. This is where men lose themselves. Meet Robert, 55, a divorcee and successful business consultant in Denver. After years of playing it safe, Robert starts dating Lindsay, a 28-year-old yoga instructor. She's vibrant, curious, and full of life. She reminds him of a part of himself he thought he'd lost. And that's where it begins. Suddenly, every interaction is filtered through a fantasy lens. He imagines her as the missing piece, the second chance, the maybe this is finally it. He ignores the moments she subtly pulls back. He explains away the red flags. She's late to dinner. She's just free-spirited. She cancels plans last minute. She's spontaneous. She says she's not looking for anything serious. She just doesn't know it yet. Robert isn't dating Lindsay anymore. He's dating a dream he created. And dreams, brother, are dangerous when you start confusing them with reality. Here's what's real. Lindsay enjoys Robert's company, sure, but she's also still exploring her identity. She's figuring herself out, She's not thinking about commitment or matching his long-term pace. That's not wrong, it's just true. But Robert doesn't see it, because he's busy projecting what he hopes she is, instead of paying attention to who she's actually showing up as. Now contrast that with James, 49, a restaurant owner in Austin. He meets Taylor, 32, through a mutual friend. She's sharp, confident, and makes it clear up front. I don't do messy. I'm not here for someone to save me. I like men who are rooted. James doesn't flinch. He doesn't idealize her or try to mold her into some perfect story. He listens. He observes. He sees her, not through the lens of what he lacks, but through the lens of clarity. So when Taylor shows up inconsistent for a few weeks, one day affectionate, the next distant, James doesn't chase or romanticize it. He steps back, not with bitterness, but with wisdom. He's not here to build castles on sand. The difference between these two men? Robert created a fantasy and tried to live inside it. James stayed grounded in reality and let the truth guide his next move. And that's what men forget. Younger women aren't here to be your emotional reset. They're not your therapy, your validation, or your dream come to life. They're human with their own doubts, motives, moods, and pace. And if you keep romanticizing instead of recognizing, you'll miss what's actually happening. Here's the truth most won't say out loud. Many men fall in love with potential, not people. You fall in love with the feeling she gives you, not the facts she's showing you. That's why when things crash, it feels shocking, because the illusion is what's breaking, not the relationship. So what should you do? Slow down. Watch closely. Ask yourself, is she matching your energy or just reacting to your attention? Is she engaging you deeply or just enjoying the ride while it lasts? Is she consistent, curious, invested, or are you doing all the emotional lifting? Real men don't fantasize, they observe. They don't idealize, they evaluate. Not with judgment, but with presence. Because when you see clearly, you stop settling for chemistry without connection. And guess what? That clarity, it's sexy to her, and even more important to yourself. I see things clearly. Type that in the comments if you're done chasing fantasies and ready to stand in reality. No filters, no illusions, just grounded presence. And don't move just yet. What comes next may feel counterintuitive, but it's the turning point most men miss. Trust me, you'll want to hear it. Number 6. Don't be her backup if she's unsure. You should be gone. Let's cut through the noise. If you're over 40 and dealing with a younger woman who doesn't know what she wants, here's the truth. You don't have time to be anyone's maybe. You've earned clarity, and that means walking away the moment someone starts keeping you on a shelf, just in case. Let me introduce you to Greg, a 52-year-old architect in Chicago. He met Brooke, 29, vibrant, social, full of energy at a charity event. They hit it off. Dinners, late-night texts, weekend getaways. Everything felt smooth. Until it didn't. Suddenly, Brooke's replies got slower. Her availability became unpredictable. She still said things like, "You're amazing," or "I really care about you." But her actions, they didn't match. One night over drinks, Greg finally asked, "What are we doing here?" Brooke smiled. "I don't know. I like where we are. I just need time to figure things out." That's when Greg made the mistake most men in his position make. He waited. He told himself she just needed space, that the connection was too good to throw away, that maybe she'd realize he was the one. Weeks went by, then months, and the whole time Greg was on standby, watching her stories, liking her posts, waiting for a sign she was ready. Meanwhile, Brooke went on with her life. Casual flings, spontaneous trips, all while Greg stayed loyal to a woman who had no real plans to choose him. He became the backup plan, the comfort zone, the guy she texted when things got quiet, but never the one she prioritized when life got loud. Here's what men over 40 need to understand. When a woman is unsure about you, she's sure about one thing: You're not the priority. You're the emotional safety net. Now let's flip the script. Jason, 48, is a dentist in San Diego. He met Alyssa, 31, at a networking dinner. They clicked instantly. She was warm, curious, and playful. But after a few dates, she started pulling the "I'm not sure" card, saying things like, "I'm just figuring myself out right now," or "I don't know what I want." Jason didn't chase. He didn't beg for clarity. He didn't try to prove his worth. He said, "Cool, then I'm out." That's it. No drama, no hard feelings, just clarity. Alyssa was shocked. She wasn't used to men who valued their time more than her potential. And guess what? A week later she texted him, "I've been thinking about what you said. Can we talk?" Whether he went back or not isn't the point. The point is this: when you act like a man who knows his worth, women feel it. And more importantly, you feel it. This isn't about arrogance, it's about boundaries. When you tolerate indecision, you become replaceable. But when you walk away from it, you become unforgettable. So ask yourself, are you being treated like a first choice or a fallback? Are you holding space for someone who's not meeting you there? Are you chasing clarity from someone who doesn't even have it within themselves? You've got history, wisdom, a strong sense of who you are. That's attractive, that's rare. But none of that matters if you hand it over to someone who doesn't value it. Let them go figure it out on their own. If they come back ready, you'll know it. If not, you saved yourself months or years of wasted energy. You're not here to be someone's second thought. You're here to be chosen with certainty. I know my worth. Type that in the comments if you're done being the backup and ready to stand like a man who's nobody's plan B. And don't leave now. What's coming next is the mindset shift most men miss. And it's the one that changes how you carry yourself with every woman you meet. Number 7. Don't abandon your mission. Purpose comes before pleasure. Let me ask you something real, man to man. When was the last time you were so locked into your purpose that nothing else, no drama, no text, no pretty distraction could pull you off course? Because here's the truth. A younger woman might be exciting, even intoxicating. But if you're not grounded in your mission, your direction, your drive, your why, she'll sense it. And worse, she'll lose respect for it, and for you. Let's look at Marcus. He's 51, owns a small but successful contracting business in Arizona, built it from the ground up over 2 decades. He's smart, sharp, in shape, and he's been seeing Kayla, who's 32. She's vibrant, passionate, spontaneous. In the beginning, Marcus was still running his mornings, early workouts, focused business hours, weekends set aside for planning future projects. But as things with Kayla got more intense, he started bending. He'd skip the gym to take late-night calls with her, cancel meetings because she wanted to take a last-minute weekend trip. He started pushing deadlines and cutting corners. He told himself, "I'm just enjoying life. This is what it's all about." But deep down, Marcus knew he was drifting, losing his edge. And Kayla noticed too. One day, she flat out said, "You're not the same guy I met. Where's that focused energy you had? You used to inspire me." That hit hard, because the truth is, the very thing that attracted her, his purpose, his presence, his direction, was the thing he traded away trying to keep her happy. Now flip that with someone like Eric. He's 47, lives in Denver, runs a consultancy firm, and recently started dating Brittany, 30, a graphic designer. They clicked fast, but Eric never missed a step. He'd say things like, "I'd love to see you, but my mornings are sacred," or "I'll call you after 6, once I wrap up client work." Not cold, not distant, just clear, solid, structured. Brittany told him, "I love how driven you are. You make me want to be better." You see the difference. One man abandoned his mission trying to keep the woman. The other stayed on mission and let the woman rise to meet him there. As a man over 40, your purpose isn't optional, it's oxygen. The second you put it second to someone else's whims, you stop being magnetic. You become reactive, soft, lost. Women, especially younger women, aren't looking for another peer to figure life out with. They're looking for a man who's already rooted, already building, already going somewhere. She wants to feel pulled into your world, not like she's pulling you out of it. So here's the line in the sand. You can't afford to pause your mission for pleasure, because when you do, both the mission and the pleasure vanish. Stay focused, stay disciplined, and if she fits into the world you're creating, great. But don't reshape your entire map for a girl who might not even be on the journey next month. Let her admire the man on a mission, not the man who made her his mission. I lead with purpose. Drop that in the comments if you refuse to put your goals second ever again. And you don't want to miss what's next. We're getting into the kind of mistake that slowly erodes your masculinity, and most guys don't even see it coming until it's too late. Stay with me. Number 8. Don't fold under pressure. Pass her tests without losing your center. Every man over 40 dating a younger woman knows this moment. She throws a curveball sarcasm, a sudden mood shift, a passive-aggressive question, and you feel that pressure rise in your chest. You're thinking, what did I do? How should I respond? Should I fix this? But here's what most men miss. These aren't random emotional storms. These are tests. And no, not in a manipulative, cruel way, but as a primal check. She wants to feel your strength, your calm, your center. She's not looking for a perfect answer. She's watching how you hold yourself when things get uncertain. Let's bring this to life with a real story. Mark is 54, divorced 5 years ago, runs a logistics company in Dallas. He started seeing Lacey, 31, a fitness coach, fun, driven, and yes, beautiful. Their chemistry was strong from the beginning. But Lacey? She had a sharp tongue when she was feeling vulnerable. She'd toss out things like, must be nice having all that free time, guess you don't have much going on, huh? Now, old Mark would have scrambled, got defensive, explained himself, tried to smooth it over and make her feel better. But this Mark had been through the fire, so he'd just smile, look her in the eye and say, you know I've got a full plate, but I make time for what matters. And then he'd change the subject. Calm, grounded. No emotional roller coaster. Lacey, she softened immediately. Her tone changed. Because deep down, what she wanted wasn't an apology, it was reassurance that he couldn't be rattled. Now contrast that with another guy, Kevin, 49, from Chicago. Started dating Jenna, 28. Jenna was playful, sometimes pushy, especially in public. One night, she teased him at a dinner party. Kevin doesn't dance. He's too old school for fun. Kevin tried to laugh it off, but you could see it hit his pride. He joked awkwardly, then spent the rest of the night glued to his phone. Jenna later admitted, I thought he was cool at first, but after that night he just felt fragile. The difference. Mark passed the test. Kevin folded. Here's the truth. A younger woman will test your strength not out of malice, but to feel safe. Safe in your energy, safe in your direction, safe knowing you won't crumble just because she's having a moment. So next time she throws out something edgy, don't meet her in the chaos. Stay anchored. Respond with warmth, not reaction. Smile if it's funny. Set boundaries if it's crossing a line. But whatever you do, don't chase her mood. Lead it. She's not looking for a man who pleases her. She's looking for a man who grounds her. Be that man. I stay unshaken. Drop that in the comments if you never fold when tested. And stick with me, because what's coming next is the #1 trap men fall into without realizing they're giving up their masculine edge. You do not want to miss it. Number 9. Don't buy her time. Invest in value, not attention. Let's make something very clear. Especially if you're a man over 45 dating a younger woman, you are not her ATM. You are not her emotional entertainment center. And if you're showing up to the table thinking expensive dinners, gifts, or constant texting will buy her affection, you've already lost the game. Buying time is what boys do when they don't know their worth. But men, real men, offer value-grounded presence, direction, and experience that a younger woman feels, not just receives. Let me tell you about Robert. He's 52, owns a dental practice in Denver. He started seeing Mia, 30, a marketing manager. Robert, being generous by nature, started off strong gifts, fancy restaurants, a weekend spa trip 2 months in. It wasn't sugar daddy territory, but it was clear he was trying to win her over with his wallet. At first, Mia seemed impressed, but slowly she started canceling plans, becoming too busy, until finally she ghosted him completely. What happened? Mia wasn't rejecting Robert's generosity, she was rejecting the transaction. She didn't feel pursued, she felt bought, and that's a turnoff to any woman with real substance. Now flip the script with Daryl, 58, retired Navy officer living in Tampa. He met Emily, 33, through mutual friends. Daryl didn't lead with flash. In fact, their first few meetups were casual coffee, beach walk, no pressure. But what stood out? The way he listened. The way he spoke about his goals, his worldview, his time. He wasn't trying to impress, he was impressive. Emily told a friend later, "Daryl doesn't need me, but he chooses to spend time with me. That's hot." That's the key, gentlemen. Don't try to earn a woman's affection with your money. Make her earn your time through respect, connection, and shared energy. You're not a sponsor, you're a man with a mission, and your time, your attention is valuable. When you give it freely without her effort, you cheapen its worth. But when you show restraint, when you choose her based on her character, she feels the difference. Here's how you know if you're slipping into that trap. You keep paying just to keep her interested. You feel anxious when she doesn't reply fast enough. You're always initiating, always reaching, always giving. That's buying. Stop. Instead, invest in experiences. Invest in shared energy. Take her somewhere that means something to you, not just something that costs money. Let her see your world. Let her feel your standards. Because younger women don't crave your money, they crave your masculine substance. And the man who knows his value doesn't need to buy a damn thing. I bring the value. Comment that below if you know your worth. And don't go anywhere. What I'm about to show you in the final part is the quiet power move that instantly shifts the dynamic. You do this right, and you never chase again. Number 10. Don't give your depth away. Let her earn the man behind the silence. There's a difference between being emotionally available and emotionally exposed, between sharing your truth and handing it over like a free sample. And if you're a man over 40 dating a younger woman, this distinction becomes critical. You've got depth, you've lived, you've been through storms she hasn't even seen on the forecast. That inner weight you carry, that's what gives your presence power. But too many men mistake openness for oversharing. And in doing so, they strip away the one thing a younger woman finds most compelling in an older man: mystery. Don't rush to prove you're emotionally evolved. Don't turn every date into a therapy session. Instead, let your depth leak out slowly, like a story she earns chapter by chapter. Let's talk about Mark, 56, former firefighter from Seattle. He started dating Alyssa, 29, a yoga instructor with a free spirit and wild curiosity. On their second date, she asked him, "What's the most painful thing you've ever been through?" Mark smiled. He didn't flinch. He didn't fold. He looked her in the eye and said, "That's a good question, but I don't hand that answer out casually." And then he changed the subject. Now, most guys would have spilled their heart trying to connect. But Mark understood the power of boundaries. A week later, she brought it up again. Not because she needed drama, but because she respected him more. She wanted to earn that answer. Women crave a man who is not easy to reach emotionally. Not because he's cold, but because he's solid. Scarcity creates value, and silence, intentional silence, creates intrigue. Contrast that with Steve, 49, who met a 28-year-old nurse online. On the first few dates, he unloaded everything. His divorce, his childhood wounds, how he feels disconnected from his adult kids. It wasn't vulnerability, it was emotional dumping. She didn't feel trusted. She felt burdened. You've got to protect your inner life like a bank vault. Not locked away forever, but not opened without a damn good reason. When a woman feels she's earned access to your depth, she doesn't just like you, she respects you. Don't confuse being deep with being dramatic. Real depth isn't loud. It's quiet. It sits calmly in a man who doesn't need to explain himself to be understood. The kind of man who listens more than he talks. Who lets silence work for him, not against him. If she leans into that silence, if she keeps asking, keeps coming closer, that's when you give her a little more. One line, one story, one layer, and then you pull back. That rhythm, that's what keeps her chasing. You're not performing, you're revealing yourself like a slow burn. That's what makes a woman stay. Not the fireworks, but the fire that doesn't go out. So if you've made the mistake of trying to impress her with all your emotional openness, it's not too late. Pull back. Let her rediscover the mystery. Let her want to know you. The man who knows his worth doesn't hand it out. He lets the right woman earn the right to see it. I protect my peace. Comment that below if you're done giving your energy away to anyone who hasn't earned it. That's the final piece. No chasing, no convincing. Just a man who leads, stands firm, and lets her step into his world one silent, powerful moment at a time. If this video sparked something in you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That way, you never miss the mindset shifts that can quietly change everything. Inside, we don't chase. We lead, and we grow together. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.